To allegations of espionage, not instigated by China this time, but China's allegations this week that the Morrison government is waging an intensifying espionage offensive against China. Beijing's subservient Global Times media outlet alleges that Australia has sent agents to China to spy, gather intelligence and recruit assets. In fact, they say one spy was caught red-handed recently. His name, Feng Chongyi, a Chinese-Australian academic from the University of Technology. But there are some holes in this latest lashing out at Australia by China. Feng Chongyi has never been charged, but he has been an eternal critic of China's human rights record. I caught up with this alleged spy earlier today. Can you please explain to our viewers what the Global Times is all about? They're the ones making these accusations against you and against Australia. Can you shed some light on the Global Times and who runs them and who pushes them to say and report on what they do?
Global Times is a notorious tabloid. It actually is divided from the People's Daily. It's one of the People's Daily is as the so-called mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party.
Right.
They set up this separate platform to have a stronger nationalistic feature and catering to the general public, especially to have to engage social media for some positions or argument that is sometimes too embarrassed for the People's Daily.
So in many ways, like the People's Daily, it is basically a mouthpiece of the regime.
Sure, everyone should know that the Chinese Communist Party do not allow any private news outlet or news media in China to operate. Everything has to be in the media news outlet have to be owned and run by the party state.
Okay.
So the Global Times is a part of it.
So the article names you as an academic from the University of Technology in Sydney as an informant to Australia. Have you ever been a paid informant or have had negotiations with Australian spies to inform on China for Australia?
Maybe I should take that report to negotiate with the Australian government to get some money, get some payment there. I have never done anything in that nature. It's ridiculous for them to bring up the case. You may heard of the story that I was taken by the agent of the Chinese Ministry of State Security for intensive interrogations.
This is in 2017, right?
2017, when I was doing my field work for my academic field work for my research project on human rights lawyers. And after 10 days of intensive interrogation, I was set free and allowed back to Australia. So by that action, the case was closed. I think it's for them to bring up the case again. Whatever it looks so ridiculous, but it seems to me it's a desperate act of the party state.
In terms of the timing of this article and these accusations, do you think it's linked to the ASIO raids last week on the Labor MP in Sydney and accusations that he was working for the Chinese? Has this come as a direct result of those accusations, do you think?
Absolutely. So they just use my case and other case. I didn't think those cases. I'm not sure. Maybe other case they raised in the report also fabricated case as well for that purpose.
Feng, if you were guilty of some kind of espionage or reporting to Australian authorities so that they had ammunition against China, would they have let you go after those 10 days of interrogation in 2017?
What do you think?
What would have happened to you?
It's intensive interrogation on suspicions of espionage, but because I did not do anything wrong and they did not get any evidence.
You're in Sydney, you live there. Are you planning on going back home? Are you planning on seeking some sort of protection from the Australian government?
My friends sometimes ask that question, raise that question to me. My answer is that I do not have the obligation to create opportunity for those MSS agents to get promotion by punishing me.
Do you think you have any information that the Australian government would want anyway?
How can I have been living in Australia since 1995 for almost 30 years. How can I get any state secret or anything valuable in terms of the espionage?
So why did they pick on you?
One of the so-called Chinese public intellectuals, I do not usually refrain from making criticism against the abuse of human rights in China by the Chinese Communist Party and promote human rights and liberal democracy in China.
That's your crime.
That's my crime. Of course, that's it's crimes. In the old days, they may use other charge for that freedom of speech and protection for human rights. But now they are emboldened by the international tolerance to be more outraged in that way, to use political crime to persecute people like me or Yang Hongjin now in China.
Very quickly, just before we let you go, we understand that Beijing has passed these new national security laws that mean that they can, take people from Hong Kong and try them in the mainland if they think they're being somehow plotting against the government in Hong Kong. What are your thoughts on those rules being passed?
I'm so glad that the international community has now paid attention to this issue. If Hong Kong people or Hong Kong girls should not be subject to the notorious evil laws of China, why the Chinese, 1.3 or 1.4 billion Chinese, have been subject to these notorious evil laws for so many years without the international condemnation?
Yeah. And the same thing is happening today, but we'll leave that there. Thank you, Feng. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.